I will watch the movie. I will review the film. I will upload the video. I will watch the movie. I will review the film. I will upload the video. I will watch the movie. I will review the film. I will upload the video.
I will save you, mother.
I will save you, mother.
I will kill you, Philip.
That's right, folks. Today we have the Northman. I don't know what else I can tell you guys at this point. I keep taking my friends to see these films, right? They're getting trailers. Like, I see the trailers online in the theater and like everywhere. Unless it's fucking Marvel Doctor Strange, my friends aren't always going to be familiar with what the hell's coming out, apparently. To those that don't know, the Northman is, I mean, you might have seen the posters probably outside your movie theater, right? A big, gray, dreary-looking Nordic writing, and some Vikings going to go to war, and like, you know, Alexander Skarsgård is standing there with traps on his traps. I mean, this guy's got like a back of muscle, and it's like a revenge, basically, like a revenge, like action thriller period piece of sorts. So I'm surprised more people haven't heard about this, but I've been excited because the Northman is directed and done by, I guess we're just getting right into this, Robert Eggers. I don't know if I would say he's one of my favorite directors per se, but I really am growing to enjoy his body of work. However, the marketing department, while marketing has been great for these films, it has also been very misleading for these films. The first experience I had with his films was The Witch. I saw The Witch, or the VVITCH, opening night when it came out, based off of the couple of trailers that I saw, right? And it was advertised as this, like, horror period, witches, scary stuff, spooks and bumps in the night. And instead, what it actually was a horror elements, right? But like a period piece, folk horror, slow burn, deeply rooted in a family drama, and it's a great film overall, but I was misled before I went to go see it, I think, by marketing. So I walked out thinking, well, that was kind of shite, but over time I grew to appreciate it. Then The Lighthouse came out, right? Oh boy, it's my favorite of his works for a number of reasons. When I saw The Lighthouse and loved The Lighthouse, I went back to The Witch and I grew up like a more fond appreciation for it. So I have more respect for Robert Eggers, and especially for the lengths of which he goes to make the films that he does. So when I heard that he was making another one, and this one, biggest scope yet, biggest budget, arguably biggest cast, I was like, you know what? Whatever it is, sign me up for it. A lot of the top billed cast aren't in the film for a long amount of time. Like 4 of them are, but the main 2 I would say are worthy of note. Our leading man, Alexander Skarsgård. What might you have seen him in? Funny enough, not a lot of stuff. Like, I've seen him in some stuff. I've last mentioned him on my channel in Godzilla vs. King Kong. Like, he was in that. But you might know him more from, like, True Blood or from, like, Big Little Lies. I love the Skarsgård family. I mean, they're all like all these brothers is a family of actors. Everything from Chernobyl to It with Pennywise, and just long story short, the Skarsgårds have been acting for literally generations. So Alexander's no exception. I shouldn't say he carries this film because there's plenty of good performances, but he's definitely cut out to be a leading man. And of course, the gal after my own heart over here. Funny enough, I haven't covered her since Last Night in Soho. But yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy, she's in it and has a pretty important role in the film as well. A bunch of characters do, but those are the 2 most of note in my mind that I want to kind of bring to the forefront. The entire cast is great. Like, there's no problem with the cast. So we have the basics aside. We have the general idea of what this film is, which is basically young boy, prince, basically Shakespeare here, has to watch his father get killed at the hands of his father's brother, so his uncle, and then he has to run away, vowing to come back, and as you could tell by the mantra earlier and what's in the trailer, I will avenge your father, I will save your mother, and I will kill you, Fjarn. So he has his goal, and sure enough, as soon as that whole setup is set up, we're launching into the film in what the trailers advertise as basically a Viking revenge epic. So overall, the number one question on everybody's mind, is it good? Yeah, I'd say. I'm biased, as I always am, because I'm an artsy film boy who likes deeply layered meaning in my films and the visual aesthetic, and sometimes a slow burn is okay with me, so I'm going to be very biased in that regard. But yeah, I thought The Northman was great. Is it my favorite of Eggers' work? No, I'd say out of his now 3-film deep directography, or film repertoire, whatever you want to say, collection, Lighthouse is still top of the pile for me, but I'd say Lighthouse, Northman, Witch. Not to say Witch is bad, this is just me having to rank the films. It's like saying, oh, you know, Ari Aster's films, Midsommar, Hereditary. You're like, where do you go? There's only 2, so same principle. Again, it was not what the trailers were necessarily advertising. It advertises it as almost like a Kill Bill speed of things, where it's, oh, here's our narrative, and here's our guy. He's gonna go in there, and he's gonna wreck, and there's gonna be some visuals, and he's gonna wreck, get his revenge, and then done. And yes, but actually no. Knowing now what Robert Eggers' directing style is and learning to appreciate that from my own perspective, I had a feeling it was not going to be as simple as that, and I was correct. So although the trailers are misleading a little bit, I was not too taken aback, and once I settled into the tone of what this film inevitably settled into, I was on board with it. Which is that it is still like a revenge thriller, like dark, grisly, yeah, it still is all of that, but there's also these, you know, really good performances. It's heavily steeped in Nordic mythology and the way of the Vikings and everything. It follows not just characters, but custom, tradition, rituals, their gods, kind of their creed, their way of life. Very big into fate and what that is, and vengeance, and a bunch of different themes. Beautiful, beautiful movie. As always, I think Eggers has a supreme sense of control behind the camera. He always works very well in tandem with whoever his cinematographers are to make these gorgeous masterpieces of varying color palettes. What also is funny about that is that, unless I'm mistaken, and I know his first 2 films he did this, I believe he continues his own tradition. He only will use natural lighting, what's available to him. He'll make sure the outfits, the scenery, whatever's involved in each scene, painstakingly recreated to be only what would be available to them, like tech-wise and dress-wise and all this. So in terms of making a historically accurate and, you know, natively accurate and accurate to lore and to the mythology and the life style of that time, again, nails it. So it all looks and feels like a production value is through the roof, as always. Superb acting. Nobody has any slack here, from the kids to the adults to our leading man, leading lady antagonists, acting across the board, stellar. And I normally, with this amount of screaming in a film, like especially from our lead who screams a lot in this film, normally it'd be something where you would kind of be like, ugh, like here we go again. But just something about it is so visceral and so, I don't want to say human, almost inhuman, like animalistic. I mean, if these Vikings, our record of them is accurate, I mean, these guys were beasts, and not necessarily in a good way, just these animals of men. I don't want to be like, oh, these apex predators and Alpha and the Omega, but like, honestly, they're go over here, hand-to-hand combat, half naked, like cutting people down, just death by, like, live by the blade, die by the blade. I want to go out swinging, Valhalla, Mad Max Fury Road, just welcome me in, brothers, and that'll be my afterlife. That's how I want to go out. Which, I mean, from my perspective, I guess as a man, or I don't know, as me, basically, like, yeah, go down swinging. That makes sense to me. There's honor in that. Yeah, sure. What I really appreciate about this film is, even though we have a lead and we kind of we're biased, we lean towards him because we start with him, we root for him, he's not inherently good. This movie does not really have any heroes, or even really just kind of villains. All people that think they're the heroes of their own story, people that think they're the protagonists. Like, these people aren't doing good things. It's what Vikings did, was they plundered, would rape, pillage, take what they wanted, what was theirs. Sure, there was a sense of camaraderie between them, but not between those that they cut down to get to that. Of course, I find Nordic tradition and the lore of the time, I keep using that word as place a better one, but the history. I appreciate and like and admire certain aspects of the history, but there's also a lot of brutality and not a whole lot of room for humanity. And it's like almost a study in kind of what masculinity was and still kind of is and has been for a while. So it's interesting to think about that way. But yeah, I enjoyed how they did not shy away from showing you, oh, no, here's the good, the bad, the ugly, the depraved. That's the way of the Vikings. Hang dark. And as the title suggests, I really like how this film is I like how I keep on saying it. I love how films and games are doing this more and more these days. This film shows you what the cost of vengeance or revenge is. It's so easy, especially for, I want to say American audiences, but that's all I'm exposed to. People want like revenge. People are like, oh, he bonked me on the noggin, I want to go bonk him on the noggin twice as hard now. It's like people always, eye for an eye, and the world goes blind. Like that's just kind of the way of the world, where vengeance and revenge that's the go-to. But this film shows you, no, you can have your vengeance and your revenge. You can have that, but there's a cost to others and to yourself. Like you can, how far will you go? This movie gave me heavy vibes to, if you don't know any of these, that's fine, but Last of Us Part 2, Red Dead Redemption Part 2, hell, even Princess Bride. I'll go there. Princess Bride vibes too. Stuff like this shows you this is the cost of, I'm a spiteful guy myself. If I'm triggered enough, or if somebody has wronged me a certain way, I will wait up to years to get my vengeance. But again, what cost is that to myself? And it shows you with our main character and the people around him. It's like these actions have reactions and consequences, and you don't just get your vengeance like that and everything is okay. You lose so much of yourself and what you have, and just that's part of that process. And that movie, again, does not shy away from that. It's like, yeah, we'll give you your revenge movie, but it's not going to be a clean ride. However, the film wasn't perfect. Like I said, not my favorite of his, but it's mostly for personal reasons. I didn't find myself entranced until about Act 2. Not to say Act 1 was bad, it was not. I just don't know why I could not find my vibe with the film until about Act 2. I couldn't place it. There were some great moments in Act 1 for sure, but Act 2 is what got me, and then by Act 2 and 3 I was in it, and by the end, oh boy, was my heart pounding at the end. Good stuff. Almost as good as the end of The Revenant, I'll say that. In that same vein, the film has some very impactful moments. Usually a film if a film in itself can be impactful for me and resonate with me deeply, and I'll carry that with me and consider it a great film. This film as a whole doesn't necessarily resonate with me, but there were, like I said, there were definitely moments throughout that kind of cut to me, and I was like, ooh, damn, there you go, that's a good one. Maybe another viewing would help, but as it stands, I did enjoy I love a good duel, right? And so, of course, this is leading up to an inevitable, literally a fateful duel. Great duel. I'm not going to go into any details as to what transpires, but definitely worth it. I will say that duel is very memorable in my mind, at least. That's all I got to say about The Northman, honestly. More pros than cons. I think it's really good. No question there. Not my favorite of Eggers' work. I might give it another watch and see if my opinion might kind of go one way or the other. But I would say out of the trilogy of his films that exist now, you can add it. They're all at the baseline. I think they're all really good. Not for everybody. Not everybody's going to enjoy a slow burn Viking revenge film that kind of focuses more on the visuals and the allegories and the metaphors and the story and all that. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Review critics online like it. Audience scores, you can tell, are going to be kind of hit or miss, but I'm here for it. I think it was a really good time. I'd say if anything I've said sounds like it's up your alley, check it out in a theater. If not, I completely understand. Maybe watch Lighthouse instead, but this is still really good. And for those reasons, I would give The Northman probably a low 4 out of 5. Like a low 4 out of 5. It's definitely, I mean, unless more great films come out, I'm pretty sure it's my top 10 for the year. I wouldn't say top 5, but right now, as the list stands, here we are in mid-April, top 10. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about the Northman. Yeah, thank you guys and gals so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever I do. And goodbye, travelers.